and their bodies rupture, fall to the soil, and enrich the soil, and are not washed into our rivers, and do not contaminate. Therefore, an agriculture that's enclosed, you're not subject to frost, you're not subject to freeze or weather. In other words, these nuclear plants out here that dump their hot water into the bay, we use that hot water in the winter to enhance the plant life, to grow bananas in Georgia, in North Carolina, by using the hot water from nuclear plants. What do we do with the radioactive waste? We encase it in piping and treat sewage water with the radiation. Not radioactive powder, but the radiation material is sealed. And through a multiplicity of shields, we only use the radiation to clean the waters emitted by hospitals and all other sources of contamination.
You keep showing this figure, this thing flying around the sky, so you better tell me what that is.
Oh, this is one of the methods of conserving our land area. You read of erosion. Our beaches are being eroded. Land is being eroded. By designing and building underwater dams, which is entirely feasible within our time, we can modify the ocean current. We can modify the Japanese stream. We can build dams under the ocean and utilize the Japanese current, oxygenate the water, and do away with the red tide. The red tide, by the way, can be dealt with by oxygenation, by recirculating the water, by building dams under the water in the Gulf Stream to set up greater turbulence in the water, and this is feasible. If we don't do it, we will cease to be as a nation. We have the energy, the know-how, the raw materials. Socio-Cyberneering is an organization that is probably the boldest organization ever conceived of.
What?
And we're undertaking the most ambitious project in the history of mankind.
What's this?
This represents a surveillance equipment aircraft to survey the areas and movement of the currents and to monitor Earth systems.
All right, Jacque.
This represents a variation of the circular scheme. Most of the cities are based on natural configurations, the atomic structure, basic designs in nature. The center of the city might be related to studies of the human organism. This center here may be studies of diseases of the eye, other systems, diseases of the nervous system. An all-out research project on enhancing the lives of men. There are no military programs or projects in socio-cyberneering.
There's no need for an army?
No need for an army.
Now, what if one people decides to attack another people?
We then invite, after the first city is built, we tend to go Socio-Cyberneering International, to invite the participation of all nations of the world into a system of monitoring the Earth and using the Earth to enhance the lives of men.
What about what if one group of people get together and attack another group of people?
We believe that is done due to scarcity, or that a society suffers from economic deprivation, lack of arable land area, or overpopulation.
No, you believe it would not occur?
It would not occur.
What is this wild-looking thing?
This is clean sources of power. By utilizing the natural heat of the Earth, that is volcanic energy, or the magma, or the molten lava under the Earth, of which there are approximately 500 potentials. If we tap a mountain in Hawaii called Mount Aloha, we can get enough power to electrify the world. We can get enough power from that volcano alone. We have 500 potential volcanoes we can harness. We can use that natural heat from the volcano. No smog, no smoke, no dirt, no gases, no fuels, no oil spills, and no more burning of fuels in any city to generate power. If Japan used Fujiyama, they don't need to burn oil. They don't need oil. All of that heat is sitting there. 20 million years of power right under the Earth's surface. In fact, you don't even need to use fusion power or nuclear power. And it's easy to tap, and it's clean and available. As soon as we make up our minds to put scientists, rather than on weapons, nerve gas, on harnessing the Earth power that is already here.
Well, how are you going to get the president of Florida Power and Light or Shell Oil to give up that?
Socio-cyberneering does not appeal to governments, to private enterprise. We're going to do this thing just as the automobile phased out the stagecoach, just as television stepped in and phased out the old vaudeville and the old motion pictures, that history and technology is respecters of no society, no individual opinions, but it moves on, and we've got to be prepared to face the future. Socio-cyberneering will tackle some of the most ambitious projects in the history of man. This represents the building of underwater dams within the Gulf Stream. This dam will collect, direct, and route the waters of the sea into a spillway that is centrifugally shaped so that fish and marine life are separated from the turbine blades. The Gulf Stream will generate power to oxygenate the waters, to eliminate the red tide, to pick up the amount of fish in the ocean, to monitor marine life, and build an ecological relationship between the total oceanographic world and the continents. Areas where we've gone in for strip mining and loused up the land by digging out the areas, shamefully pitting the surface of the United States, we feel we can build underground art cities, music centers, landscaped areas with gardens and lakes, and reclaim those areas.
Now this looks like a train station.
After the automobile is phased out, which we hope to do very rapidly, we hope to build a new transportation system and also phase out all forms of aircraft except surveillance. Aircraft, helicopters. We think aircraft are no longer necessary. In fact, the skies are so jammed and landing is so difficult, and the speeds and the shock wave are no longer worth working on. I know the people in the aircraft business do not understand this, nor do they feel this, because they feel that all institutions tend to perpetuate themselves. We hope to phase out the airplane by designing transportation units that can move up to 2,000 miles an hour, floating on a magnetic repulsive field or an air cushion. And in those huge trains of tomorrow, there'll be television, radio, amusement, art centers, classrooms, not a group of seats lined up as your trains are today, highly regimented society, whether you know it or not. This society will be different in its transportation means. If 40 or 50 people have to leave the train, we slow up to 100 miles an hour, lift off the passenger section, or slide it off and slide on a section with the passengers getting on. You don't have to stop the whole plane or the train. Today, when 3 people are getting off, you land the airplane and 3 or 4 people get off. In the future, we will just shove off those passengers getting off and that freight leaving.
How will this go from, say, Miami to London?
We then have an underwater project in which tunnels are suspended 125 feet beneath the surface of the sea. Therefore, you eliminate most of the ocean-going transportation system. You're not subject to the weather or anything else. This is part of the linear acceleration train that can take you anywhere in the world in just a few hours, safely, without snow, rain, being lost at sea, subject to the weather.
Are all these things you're saying, Jacque, could they be built with what we know today, or are some of these things, are you guessing based on what we know today?
No. All of these things can be built with what we know today. It would take 10 years to change the surface of the earth, to rebuild the world into a second Garden of Eden. The choice lies with you. The stupidity of a nuclear arms race, the development of weapons, trying to solve your problems politically by electing this political party or that political party, that all politics is immersed in corruption. Let me say it again. Communism, socialism, fascism, the Democrats, the liberals, we want to absorb human beings. Women's lib, all organizations that believe in a better life for man. There are no Negro problems or Polish problems or Jewish problems or Greek problems or women's problems. They're human problems. To come into socio-cyberneering and take your part and function. We are not concerned with the divisions of segments of society.
No control of